Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Together Out Loud. Hello, Pumpkin, and hello, everybody that's joining. The wife will be jumping in here shortly. Yep, there's sound check. Do yours.
Testing.
Testing. Yep. We always do that to make sure that our sound is working, as you all know.
I'm coming.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. And we are live. And if this is the first time you're joining us, we do this as a podcast. Thank you. My tattoo's healed, so now we can be close together again. And if you'll notice, if you've been in here before, you'll notice I'm wearing a hat. I'm starting to wear a hat now because my hair is long and it gets hard to manage when it gets long. So I am going to wear a hat.
It's for a Halloween.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be Special Officer Doofy for Halloween. So sorry, and I'm sending some invites real quick.
He's sending invites. We do this. We try to do this once a week, either on Saturdays or Sundays, which we have time to do it today since we have nothing else really to do.
Yep, and we're fasting.
We're doing a 48-hour fast. A while back, we decided to do that once a month, but we were slacking in the summertime because we always had things to do. And so we started back up. So around 4 o'clock yesterday, we stopped eating, and we haven't eaten since 4 o'clock yesterday, and we're not going to eat until tomorrow.
It'll be a 46-hour fast.
Yeah, because we're going to start at 8 at 2. We like to get dinner.
Which I even finished my fruit punch before 4 o'clock.
Good.
There was 4 minutes left, and I chugged it real quick. I was like, oh, it's 3:56. Let me chug this down fast.
I noticed that you haven't been buying them either, so that's good. But this is completely live. We don't edit anything. The only thing that we do is we pick clips out, which I've been slacking on the clips, but we pick clips out to post on this and YouTube and Instagram. The full live recording is always on Spotify. The audio is on Spotify and then on YouTube. So if we ever respond to your comments, because that's what we've been doing throughout the last couple of weeks, actually, because people have been more active in the comments, or if you ever come up as a guest, just know, a little disclaimer, that we do post them on those platforms.
Yes. What is that noise?
They're doing the pencil sharpener.
Oh, okay. They're sharpening pencils, if you guys can hear that.
You'll also see a cat every once
in a while. And you'll see a cat every once in a while pop up. That's the king. Idris the king. But we'll get right into this. Excuse me. I guess, if you would like to. And the topic that she picked is we would like to talk a little bit about the Lindsay Clancy case. So if we want to jump right into that.
I think it's somebody outside, actually.
Oh, there's somebody outside. Well, sorry if you guys can hear that outside. Somebody weed whacking. Somebody voluntarily weed whacking our weeds, I guess.
Something. I don't know.
That's probably Domino's.
But yeah, Lindsay Clancy. So I'm going to, I think that's what it is. I'm going to.
Are the windows shut?
No, I can shut them. I'm going to go shut the windows.
She's going to shut the window because I feel like that's going to be loud and people are going to be able to hear it. Because I noticed in the last one when a bike went by,
it was loud,
I could hear it.
Loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it sounds loud to us. Yeah, they're next door, next to Domino's.
You can open it up when we're done.
Yeah, because I like the cool air. That's one thing I like about it being a little bit cooler. But I'll be looking forward to this being our winter.
But if you guys are listening, thank you for joining in. Thank you, Terry and Kayla, and welcome, Wild Asins. I don't know if I'm pronouncing everybody's things correctly. Leah Porter. Welcome, everybody. And please feel free to chime in with your opinions as well. We're going to discuss a little bit about the Lindsay Clancy case, starting with her.
Yeah, I don't know much about it except what people have been posting and reposting on Instagram. So what I know is obviously she unalived her 3 children, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they already know that she is guilty. They're just determining whether it's going to be insanity or murder. or Schmurder.
I believe so.
Okay, so yeah, so that's what I've seen, and it's just like interesting how society has changed since back when, oh, what was her name, who drove her 2 boys off into the water. It was back in the 90s. I forget what her name was, but people were absolutely outraged by that, and now all of a sudden it's changed where people are taking her side, and some people are even claiming that they think the husband did it, which, like I said, I don't know that
People
much
are
about
saying
the case.
that he brainwashed her into doing it. That's
Oh,
another claim.
I know. It's crazy. Accountability. Okay, so here's what I want to say. First, I love Candace Owens, but he found a clip yesterday that she's saying that it's the pharmaceutical.
The very
companies.
first thing she said in the clip was,
She's not guilty.
I'm going to go ahead and say Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
So here's my take on it. So
and we love Candace Owens.
We do love her, and we can disagree with her, and that's great. That's what's great about
America
and thinking for yourself. So I believe the actual mental health system is very flawed, and I say this because I've worked in it, and I know that they just, yes, there are some doctors who just push the pharmaceuticals like everybody else and they get kickbacks, but there's also some doctors who actually want to treat you. And also, I feel like anybody just wants to put a mental health diagnosis on any little thing, any little odd behavior these days. And I don't think that's right. And I think that's very dangerous also, because a diagnosis stays with you forever. Now, I'm not saying that maybe she wasn't mentally ill. I think you have to have some kind of mental illness to do that to your own children. But I also feel like at the end of the day, she still had the choice to do that. Whether she was very heavily medicated on the wrong medications, or the medications affected her. I told him if I was allegedly hearing voices or had thoughts of harming my children, I'd be calling the cops on myself and asking them to take me away, because that is the last thing I would ever want to do. So
here's the tough part about it, though. I did read that she did it thinking she was going to save them from something. So I don't know what that aspect is in it, like what she's going to save them from. But I bring that up because there are, I guess, ethical questions when it comes to, like, is there ever a great time to, like, save your child? For example, if your child's suffering from the big C, you would want to do anything in your power, anything possible to relinquish their suffering. So some people might consider, would you even go as far as unaliving them? And, that's an ethical argument where some people might come down on the side of like, well, yeah, because I don't want my kids to suffer. And then some would come down on, well, no, you never by any means do that.
Okay, so that's my thing. If she allegedly thought she was saving them from something, why would she do it in the way that she did it? That is a very personal way to do that to a person. So if you are allegedly saving them from something, wouldn't you want to do it in a peaceful way? Like, I'm going to slip them something for them to just go to sleep and not wake up. It was just it was a
Oh,
very
I see what you're saying. Like, why not give them too much sleeping medication or something like that? Something more peaceful
and humane.
Because
they always say, like, when people strangle, I don't know if I can say that, I don't know if we're gonna get flagged, when somebody gets strangled,
cut off oxygen, let's just say
when
that.
somebody gets their oxygen cut off, that is the most personal way to unalive somebody. So
yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It's very personal, and it takes, how long does it take?
Yeah, I listened to a woman who posted, she said that, and I believe she got this from the actual court. I'm not 100% on that. I'm just going by hearsay what she said. But she said that the judge was allowing the courtroom to listen to facts about cutting off of oxygen. And 5 minutes does not suffice. 5 minutes will make them unconscious, but they can, I guess people have been still known to survive after 5 minutes. So they're estimating that she did it for 10 to 15 minutes per child. And that's pretty brutal to be able to do that for a full 10 to 15 minutes. I want to maybe get into the whole insanity side of it a little bit. So, two things I wanted to talk about, subtopics to insanity. One, I said this to you on the phone. So, one of the first things that they'll look for in an insanity plea is how you handled the bodies afterwards. Because actually, that's where a lot of people lose their insanity pleas, is they'll plea insanity and it'll immediately get thrown out because they did something with the bodies. Well, here's the problem is if you do something with the bodies, that's showing guilt. That's showing you felt bad, and that's showing that you knew that what you did was not right. So in those cases, they'll always throw the insanity out the window. And it's because the prosecution will always argue, well, you were of a right mind to know that you did something wrong, at least as far as hiding it and hiding the bodies and hiding what you did.
Mhm.
So that means
what you did.
Yeah, that means you're not insane to the point that you didn't know what you did and you didn't recognize that what you were doing was wrong or evil. I'm going to say that word because I don't really, for me, and maybe this might be a side topic, but I wouldn't mind also going a little bit into good and evil in this episode as opposed to right and wrong. I don't know what that means. Is that someone commenting or?
I don't know what that.
Something popped up that said, try to say something. Is the audio clear on your end? And let me double check the audio because maybe that was saying something's messed up. Let me double check the audio because maybe that was saying something's messed up. Let me double check the audio because maybe that was saying something's messed up. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I don't know what that was that popped up.
Yeah, I don't know what that was either. But, and then the second thing that I would like to talk about is the reason, an argument against insanity for me is it was obviously premeditated. So she made the plan to send the husband away. And then she also made the plan to use exercise resistance bands. If it was like bare hands, I could understand it a little more when it comes to insanity. Not saying that I understand what she did, because I don't at all. Yeah, because it'd be more impulsive. But the fact that she used resistance bands tells me she looked at something and said, that's what I'm going to use.
Yeah, and they can, when it comes to premeditated murder, they can use all the way up to like the very second before you do it. If you have an idea.
And thank you, Earth Goddess, for liking the live.
And plan right up to the moment that you do it, then
and
they can.
Please feel free to chime in if anybody has their own opinions as well. Sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting you.
That's okay, but they can claim premeditated all the way up to the very moment that you do it. So yes, if she stopped and thought like I'm gonna grab that to do it, then it can be considered premeditated. But for the fact that allegedly she put the one child in a different room when she did it to the other two, shows that you had some kind of plan.
And see, I don't know. That also tells me that you recognized that it was wrong too. Because what would be the point of it's 8 months, I believe? I don't think it could walk. Why wouldn't you just sit the baby aside and do what you need to do? Like that tells me you're hiding them from an evil that you're about to commit. That's just my opinion of it. Earth Goddess 120 says, yeah, I totally agree with you guys. And thank you.
Thank you.
And we're just going to continue to discuss different parts of it. What do you think about as far as like because she didn't hide them from everything I know of. And also she just kind of set the bodies up. Here we go. Actually, let me ask this question. Do you think that part of it might have also been in spite of the husband? This is just opinion.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said.
The reason I asked that is because the body's being found in his office. Like I wonder in my own head, I wonder if she did that, if that was done on purpose. Like because it seems as though they were purposely brought down there. So like it's specifically being the husband's work like work office and his domain, that to me puts me under the opinion of she did this in a way to hurt him.
Yeah, that's possible. Like I said, I haven't researched more into it. I just know there's other people online that are like extremely invested into it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I found out about it is from other people because it's interesting to me. Like some conservative people are on her side, and even like I said, trying to say that the husband did it. So I don't know what their relationship was like leading up to it. I've seen that allegedly she had like a nanny and he worked from home and all that. So it makes me wonder like what exactly were you suffering from regarding needing help with the children? Because yes, postpartum depression is real, but my thing is there's many women who suffer from postpartum depression but don't do this to their children. And there somebody else commented that of how emotional she is, and the person who commented was like, I don't know, because uh I've worked with people who unalived their children and they weren't that emotional, and I thought, okay, maybe they're not. What does that mean exactly? Maybe she's emotional because she does. I mean, I can't. She could have had a psychotic break, but and now she's realizing what she's done. But I just don't think that should be an excuse. I'm sorry. That's just like not an excuse.
Okay, and I would like to touch a little bit on the postpartum because a friend of ours that we were just with, she kind of spoke about that and the seriousness of it, I guess. I obviously can't speak much on it, so I'm going to ask more questions, like maybe perhaps what you've gone through in yours, and maybe you can touch on how childbirth affected you personally. But the reason I'm pointing that out and asking about that is, or singling that out, is she had 3 children. So why would it be just the last children? Did she have? I mean, I guess that's something we would have to research. It makes me curious if she had those kinds of feelings with the other 2 previously, and also what is your experience with having 3 children? Did it affect you differently with boys to girls? Did it affect you differently from like old to young? Like how was your personal experience?
So yeah, we have 3 kids ourselves, and the 2 boys are 15 months apart. So you can imagine that being difficult.
We jumped right back into it.
I think the most difficult. Okay, yes. Prior to this, I have suffered from depression and anxiety just in general. Okay, um, but I also take accountability of that, and this is only after I've learned how to cope with it without medication and taking more accountability for it. For the first child, I don't remember um, having a lot of postpartum. I understand because your hormones are just so crazy out of whack. My biggest struggle with my experience was going back to work because um
Feeling like you're leaving them too
guilty.
soon?
You get I just didn't like feeling like I'm feeling guilty that I'm not a good worker because while I'm at work I'm um pumping because I breastfed. I don't know if I can say that, whatever. It's like a natural
Chest
thing.
fed.
So I was pumping, so I would feel guilty like taking the time out to do that, or I feel guilty because like I'm thinking about them all the time, or I feel guilty because I have to go if something happens to them and I have to pick them up early from daycare. So I'm like feeling guilty that I'm not a good worker, or feeling like I would get intrusive thoughts like, oh, they don't think I'm valuable anymore because I'm a mom, or they don't understand because I'm a mom and they're not. That around COVID, that was very difficult.
C19.
C19, whatever. I thought maybe since it's all over and out,
Yeah, we
we're
still
allowed
can't
to
talk
say
about it.
it.
We're not allowed to talk about anything on here.
Can I say pandemic? 2020
The
during the
C19. You
time.
can actually say the
Can I say
C19.
2020?
Yeah, you can say 2020.
So that I just like
Did you have any feelings of sadness though, or like a
sadness,
disconnect?
not a disconnect though. No, not a disconnect. Sadness, just in general sadness, but I just always thought like that was very similar to my cycle once a month, how I get. Did you do you remember me acting differently or anything
I
during the
don't
kids?
remember you acting differently.
But I know that I would get more irritable with our middle child and when he was like 1 or 2. Um, but I've never ever had thoughts of like harming them.
Okay.
It would be more of like I want to not be here. Like what our friend said, she was like, if I got those thoughts, it would be more of harming myself, not them. But it wasn't like it was one of those where I'm like, oh, I don't feel good enough or worthy to be their mother. That's how those would be thoughts. And also my thing is our we don't have a village anymore. So I get how that can be difficult too, but it seems like she had a village. She had help.
A good support group.
So I can see how it can be overwhelming and stressful, and that could make the postpartum worse if you're feeling like you have all these new responsibilities and all that. Sometimes you like kind of miss your life or miss how you were before you were responsible for other people. But I think the pros outweigh the cons in that sense, to me anyway. Um,
And I'll bring up in my past, I wrote it down here. And this is, I go into detail about this in episode 5. If I believe it was 5, right? It was the 5th episode. If anybody wants to go back and listen to episode 5 on Spotify or YouTube, you can check that out. And I go a little bit into detail of this particular circumstance. But I'm going to go back to an ex of mine. I'm not going to name her. I'll just say D. And because I spoke about her in that, and I think I called her D in that. But I believe that she suffered from that. And I mentioned that in that episode, number 5, that she kind of just disappeared and started flaking. And I actually remember at those times when I would talk to other people, shrinks, psychiatrists, doctors, they would say, oh, yeah, actually, that's really common. It's very common for a woman with postpartum to suddenly like start disappearing. So I can understand like you saying like it was more it would be more you not wanting to be here. But I guess the hard part that I struggle to understand is like I'm a man, I didn't give birth to the child. So but like I still love the child, and I couldn't where I don't know where the I'm trying to figure out even like the reasoning behind like why a woman's mind would go to this.
yeah, I can't.
When like I feel like, sorry, I guess that to word it better, I would feel like the child would be even more special and important to you
it came from
than it
us.
is to me, because yeah, it came from inside your body.
That's what I don't understand either. And I think that more than the pharmaceuticals and more than the mental health system, I feel like society, if anything, society is failing mothers. And I say that because it's almost like this weird stigma to have children, first of all. And you're expected to work and take care of the kids, because, and I'm not saying like your husband expects that, I'm saying like society, because for example in 2020, I swear at least once a week we were getting a call.
Oh, it was more than once. It was a couple times a week because we would take turns. You would go and then I would go.
Yes, but his boss, and no offense to his boss because he was a very good supervisor.
And also it was he was traditional. So it was more like, why can't your wife go home?
Yes, exactly. So it was like, and that would irk me, that would irritate me, because it's like, okay, well, so society has changed a little bit where of course, I wouldn't even need daycare if we were more traditional and I was able to stay home and not work. But it's
and I wish it was that way.
Yeah, and so that frustrated me a little bit. So I think that's society is expecting the mom to work and do all the kid stuff too, and that can be overwhelming, and I see that being overwhelming, and then you get judged if you can't do it all. So that's one thing I think society is failing. And another thing I think society is failing is they don't see children as actual people. You see that with the, can I say the A word? Unaliving unborn children.
Oh no, nope. I don't think you can.
Okay, well, you can see that with the argument of unaliving unborn children, where they don't even consider them
My
as
body, my choice. I think you could say
children,
that.
or they don't see them as like a separate entity from the mother. So of course there's going to be people who are like backing what's her name, Lindsay, backing her, because like that's how society is. Society is like, we're children are not like actual people. That's my opinion.
Well, they say in the womb, but I think it's just maybe perhaps it's just another way to help justify it.
Maybe. Well, and all this like girl boss mentality too, like people thinking it's insane when you give up a career. This, I don't know if you've ever heard of this ballerina girl woman that was on here. This was a whole controversy a while back. She's ballerina something on TikTok, but she was a ballerina at Juilliard, like a really good.
Oh yeah, you told me about that, but continue.
And she got married to a man. They own their own business. They do farming, and that's what she does now. Like she homeschools her kids, and she homemade bakes, all that. She has like, I don't know how many kids they have now, but people were saying that she is oppressed, and the husband made her stay at home with the kids and made her like do this, and it's like all backwards now and oppression, blah blah blah. It's like, no, my thing is like, all I had was my career before I met my husband and had kids. And like I said, if I can do it where I am traditional and stay home and do all that and homeschool, I would. I do enjoy my job and do enjoy contributing to the household in that way, but it's like instinctual in me. And that's another thing too, going back to what you said, how you think that because the babies come from us, come from our body, you think that we'd have more of a connection to them. And I agree. I would think that the nurturing side would kick in, so you would also want to protect them from you if you're having those thoughts. So I need to do more research into. I would like
pills. Sorry, I completely forgot.
I would like
was
to
gonna bring over.
know. I would like to know exactly what kind of help she was seeking, if she tried to get herself into a mental health ward or something before.
That's what I would like to know, and also if I would like to know the different medications that she was being put on, because I know a lot of people are saying that it's from the cocktail of different things that she was put on. So that could definitely play a part in it as well.
I don't know if I want to take my pills because they might make my stomach hurt if I don't have food with them.
I always take mine even when we're fasting, and they never bother me.
They don't bother you? All right, I'm going to give it. Sorry, I'm coming back over.
Nope, you're good. Sorry, I'm taking pills quick. We're going to talk to you guys.
This is live. This is real life.
Yeah, we take our vitamins.
Dang, did I seriously miss taking my pills for this whole week? Since Tuesday?
For the whole week?
Yeah, since Tuesday. Man, I was slacking.
No wonder you're feeling like crap.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe that's why I've had, like I said earlier in the week, feeling yucky. Maybe that's why.
You ain't even taking your pills properly.
What am I thinking? It was back to school week, so my routine was thrown off a little bit.
Sorry. Sorry for that brief moment where none of us were talking. We just completely forgot that we have our vitamins that we need to take. I don't really know anything else that I can go into on that topic. If you know of anything that you can go into, I'm just
I just
overall I don't agree with it. Oh, here we go. We'll go into this. Do you have a fear though? Because I will admit I do. Do you have a fear that possibly it could convince people to do certain things to try to get away with murder?
Yeah. It'll set a precedent.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
But it also like yeah, definitely for sure. And I don't even know. Maybe it'll allow for laws to be passed where not only can you unalive your children now all the way up to birth, but it'll be like, oh, up to 5.
Yeah, up to
They're not
5, you can still get rid
considered.
of them. They're still
Go
not
ahead, you put some
human
more in there.
beings. They're still considered parasites. And we say that as a joke, but I made that as a joke. I said maybe she was just performing late term unaliving of babies. You never know. Just very, very extremely late term.
I don't know. All I know is that I agree with maybe the medications that did it. I agree with the mental health system possibly failing her, but like I said, I also want to know, did she want to commit herself? And if she did and they still didn't do anything, then maybe yes, maybe that was a failure on their part.
And my issue also is the premeditation of it. The fact that she sent the husband away, brought the kids down to his office, which kind of makes me think that she did it out of spite.
Out of spite, yeah.
And the resistance bands being used, because that all to me sounds like it was all planned and sorted out like that. And another weird thing is like a lot of women will use poison, so that's another thing that confuses me is that poison wasn't used, because even when they unalive themselves, men are usually something violent like gunshot, hanging, pew pew shot and hanging, and women are generally slam the door. And women are generally pills. They'll take pills to end it. So that's kind of crazy to me too.
Yeah, that's all I have. That's just. I don't have anything else to say on the matter. It'll be interesting, and I'm to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to research it anymore because I'm not going to be able to believe what I see on the internet unless I can like actually start watching the court proceedings or find the court documents. I'm not going to believe what's said on there.
And actually, if you're okay, we'll go into algorithms from this because the reason I'm not going to research it anymore is I'm very empathetic, so I get like depressed and sad when I hear about things that happen to children, especially because I tend to place my children in the shoes of those children. And then I go, how would I feel about this? And it's never good. It's always terrible. But the reason I'm bringing this in an algorithm and the reason I won't investigate it more or look into it more is I know that if I continue to look into it, my algorithm on Instagram is going to just continue to feed me things like this, because just this morning when I woke up, the top thing that was on my feed, the very first thing I saw was a woman being charged in North Dakota for, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was putting her baby in a bag and closing it, and then the baby unalived. But I believe that's what it was. And I was like, oh, here we go, another one. So I think the algorithm's like, oh, you must like hearing about these stories. So here, let's feed these stories to you, but I don't.
Well, that's a good example too of what you just said. Do you think it's going to set a precedent for people to be like, oh, well, I can just say that I had postpartum depression or was on these medications that made me do it, and I heard voices tell me to do it. I don't know.
And what's your idea of the TikToks?
What do you mean?
Or what's your opinion of the TikToks? Like the people like, I think it's kind of gross that people now are like coming out and
goodness.
It's almost like grifting. They're almost grifting off of like, these poor children who.
You mean the people or the moms that come on?
Yeah, because it really is a sense of a form of grifting. It's like, I'm going to get a lot of views if I post this, because it's controversial, but also like the other women who are also supportive will also view my stuff.
Yeah, you know what makes me sad? So, there's a person that posted something. I think she said like, I'm 34 and I'm childless, and I want to know, am I going to regret it if I don't have kids? And sorry, it's gonna make me emotional because there are people that will comment and be like, oh, I'm in my 60s and I don't have kids and I'm so happy I can spend money on myself, blah, blah, blah. Those aren't the people that make me choke up. The people that make me choke up are the people who say, I have 3 kids, I love them to death, but don't have kids. It's like, you're disgusting. Like, you're absolutely disgusting. To have kids, claim that you love them, you're like, I regret having them, don't have kids. And the reason why I say that is because your child one day could come across that and see that, and I just cannot
Yeah, it's
imagine.
sad how they
And
would feel.
one of my coworkers, he said that his mom used to say that she should have had the A word,
An AB.
the
A
AB
lot of
word,
people will call an AB on here.
and she used to say that to him, and that's just like so disgusting. I'm not saying that it's uncommon to sometimes, like I said, miss your old life, but the why I sometimes feel that way is because, like I said, I don't feel worthy of my kids. I always feel like I'm going to damage them. And so when I think about like missing my old life, I think about like it's more of like a guilt of how I'm going to affect them in a negative way, if that makes sense.
It does.
And so, like,
Would you do it again though?
I 100%, I would 100% do it again, and I would do it sooner in my life so I can have more.
Me too. If we
Because
could do it all over again, we'd meet 10 years sooner than we did.
yeah, and we'd have like
And we'd
8
have 20
kids.
kids.
But and the reason why I say that is because they gave me a purpose. They gave me purpose, and I've always wanted to be a mom. I would play house and I would play babies, and when I would play make believe, I'd pretend like I was going to the bank, like my mom used to go to the bank, and my child was sitting in the back seat, like just corny, stupid, ordinary stuff that I always wanted. And so no matter how hard it is some days, or if I feel like I'm like screwing up, I wouldn't regret it.
Wouldn't
Because
change it for anything.
yeah, I don't regret it. I wouldn't change anything because um becoming a parent is a sacrifice, and that's not supposed to be a bad thing. It's not supposed to be bad to sacrifice.
It's progress.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I don't know, it gives me purpose. Like, yeah, I work, like I said, I worked and stuff, but like I never felt like I had purpose. At least at least when there are days where I'm like, God, why am I here? What is your plan for me? I now can recognize that maybe it's not something that I'm going to do directly, but having these kids and having these kids do something amazing
Directly.
is my purpose. And so it just like really makes me sad when I see that. And that's where I go back to like something's wrong with society. Society's really effed up to convince people, and especially women, that like it's bad to have children, because I don't give a crap what these people, what these 6-year-old women, childless women say, where they're like, oh, I can do whatever I want, go wherever I want, spend money on me, blah 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 blah. Like, you're still feel empty. Like, you don't have anybody to make memories with. What's the point?
And that's why we actually feel sadness and sorrow sometimes for the people who get older and don't have any kids. Dr. Jordan Peterson would bring that up a lot, of like the people who grow up and they get into the later years of their lives, 50s, 60s, 70s, and they don't have kids or grandkids or nothing. They have nobody there. And it's like, it can be fun in the beginning when you do have other people. Mr. Shakiran says, just because someone doesn't have children doesn't mean their lives are empty. And
Yeah,
I agree with
that's
you.
fine.
And thank you for the engagement. I wouldn't claim that their lives are empty. I would just say that perhaps there are different things to live for. And unfortunately, as Dr. Jordan Peterson would say as well, and agree with me in this opinion, many times people who don't have children end up in hedonistic lifestyles. So they just live the rest of their life as like, please me, please me, please me. It's all about me. It's all about me. And you won't gain anything from that. You really won't. I've even come to find a meaning in my life of giving to others, and giving of myself to others, whether it be my time, my money, financially. So this isn't meant to be a bash towards that.
No.
It's
It's
more
sad. Like I said, I feel sad.
yeah, I feel a sadness, because like Dr. Jordan Peterson also said, like you don't have anybody there when you get into those later years, and it can be lonely. Excuse me. And I know that there are communities and stuff that help with stuff like that, but I just I personally, for me, I wouldn't want to be alone like that. And you can have kids, and you can even be alone
And feel
with
lonely.
kids, yeah, and feel lonely. Mr. Shakursha says, I know a lot of parents, they shouldn't have kids. I agree with you on that as well. Lindsay Clancy, who we spoke of earlier, is one of them.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that. So thank you very much for that comment, because I agree with you on that. I agree with you that, it could be that. I think those are the outliers, though, regarding the people who don't have kids, and they're like, I'm not meant to have a child, and I don't want to have kids. And I agree, and I know there's some people who have kids
and shouldn't.
But at the end of the day, those are the people who still have some kind of selfishness in them and don't want to sacrifice for their children.
Similar to the ones like you said, where the women are like, I have kids and I regret it.
Yes,
don't have them.
Yes.
That's sad. It's just a sad outlook.
Too. And so and that's the thing too. I read through some of these other comments too, where they felt like they were forced to have kids, whether somebody in their life made it seem like that was the thing that they needed to do, or their husband wanted kids. That's where it goes with we need to somehow change our outlook on caring what other people think. Because trust me, I would have comments and stuff because I got married and had kids later on. I was 30. And that seems old to some people. There are other people I graduated with who had their first child at 35. I was having my third. So that has changed, I think. But people who are old school and stuff like that, who feel like you have a biological clock, or you should be hitting these milestones in life at a certain age or whatnot, I think we should stop putting pressure on people in that way as well. So I completely agree. I don't know. I'm going to be an advocate for having children and bringing back the traditional family.
Me too.
Only because okay, maybe my upbringing wasn't fulfilling in a way that I think it should have been. And I say that because one of my favorite things about having kids, just today, we took them to a new place. It was like a trampoline park and bouncy house thing. And it's I love watching them experiencing something new. So whether it's something that I've experienced before or something that I've never experienced before, it's real cool to see it in their eyes and see it in a child's eyes that I didn't get to experience. It's I get to relive childhood again.
You get to live it through them.
Yeah. And so that's I just am sad for people who choose not to experience that, and are kind of, I think the brainwashing comes in with, I'll never understand it, where a woman's okay with letting daddy government control them regarding oh, you be girl boss and you need to be a career woman, blah blah blah, don't have kids, you need to work. So you're okay with that man controlling you, but you're not okay with a husband allegedly controlling you. And I say that because that's what they always claim to. If they come across a married woman, it's she's a pick-me girl, or she's oppressed, or she's being controlled by her man.
And I'd like to go back a little bit on caring what others think. Unfortunately, there are some people who have children because of that as well.
Yeah.
There are some people who have children because they want to look like, they want to appear to have it all together. Mm-hmm. They want to appear to be doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. They want to appear to be educated. They want to appear a number of things, like, oh, look at how good my kids are. My kids are well behaved because I'm a great person. Yeah. I can take care of all these kids because I'm rich and wealthy. Or my kid's better than yours. My kids, oh, look at this. I have good genes. My kid's good at sports because I have good genes. And I'll even admit that's a struggle that I myself even have, is like I try to push them pretty hard and I want them to be the best. But I also have to remember that they're going to be whatever God wants them to be, whatever
Mhm.
Jesus Christ wants them to be is what they're going to turn out to be. So I constantly have to remind myself to take a step back and just go, you know what? The most important thing for my child to be is to be a follower of Christ, is to be a Christian. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I want anymore. I love them and I'm proud of them. And they are my entire world. And the only thing I want out of, like in return from them, just to be Christian. That's it. But my joy and the reason I recommend children and the reason that she and I, if we had done it younger, would have had 20 kids is it's bittersweet too. There's like it's a double-edged sword. There's the joy of watching them grow older. But then there's also the sadness and the curse of watching them grow older.
Mhm.
So like the reason that she and I like are so kind of in a way sad that we can't have more, because she and I talk about it all the time and we're like, man, I wish we
Hey,
could do
there
more.
is like a 500,000 chance.
Yeah. There's 1 in 500,000 chance that we could have another one. But the reason we're saddened by that is because like we see that baby and we're like, man, I miss that baby stage, that toddler stage when they're just little and they're bumping into everything and they're exploring and they're finding things out. And we're like, man, I miss that stage. And it's just like as they get older, we just keep missing these last stages.
It's like
and
you're constantly grieving.
Yeah, it's beautiful though. That's my overall take of having children is it is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is the most fulfilling job you'll ever find. And I just love it. I love I love being a dad. It's my favorite thing, even over my job. I like to take care of my family. I like to take care of my kids. And as she said earlier about us going to the trampoline park and stuff, there's nothing better than watching the joy on your child's face as they're having fun, as they're doing new things. That's part of the reason we want to move to, that's part of the, maybe not we, I may be over speaking for her, but at least me, that's part of the reason I want to move to South Carolina, is because when I see our oldest in the ocean, that is heaven to me, because this isn't an exaggeration either. This kid can be just inside the ocean for hours and hours and hours on end. And if you look at him, it is the complete perfect look of just peace and joy. And I myself have never experienced that in my life, other than up till now, because when I sit, like if I'm on the sand or if I'm in the ocean with him, many times I am, when I'm in the ocean with him, I can look at him and like that same exact peace and joy he's feeling, I feel that because I see him feeling that. And because I'm empathetic, that feeling kind of comes off onto me. And it's just like, it's heaven. It's heavenly to me.
Oh, and he was the same one who randomly came over and hugged us today too. And
He
I
always
think
does.
it was just like gratitude and gratitude. So
This person, Chalply, says, do you have the Mary J? We do not.
nope.
And she's never even tried the Mary J.
Nope.
But thank you for asking and thank you for engaging. But that's my outlook on it. It's beautiful and I recommend it for everyone. And as the guy was saying earlier, yeah, it's not for everybody. And there are definitely some parents that shouldn't have children. And I mean that's a struggle too. Like I'm empathetic to the point that I feel bad for other children as well, because I don't think any child should suffer. That's also why I was like very, very, very outspoken against the whole thing that was happening in, I don't even know if we're allowed to say the country, Palestine. I'm going to say it anyway, even if we get canceled. But it's just devastating. It's devastating. I can't even, there was a doctor that was on Theo Vaughn's podcast that was, as, Rahman, I think was his last name. It might have been his first name. But anyways, this doctor who volunteered to go over and help out, and some of the things that he was saying that he saw, it's just terrible. Terrible. And also, here's just a little fun fact. They went over there thinking they were going to do 10, 12-hour shifts like they do over here. He was like, nope, nobody was doing it. You're not able to. You get so worn out by like the stress level and like the things that you see and the absolute trauma, because you're going through mental trauma over the things you're seeing over there. And he said, you go through such absolute trauma that everybody's working like 4 to 6 hours, and that's it. That's all your body can take, because it was just so overstimulating that you're like, yeah, I need a break. And I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine.
Me neither. Sad.
And I apologize. Usually we are very optimistic and happy-go-lucky in our podcast. So if this is your first time listening or seeing this, we apologize. We're not normally like this, but the whole Lindsay Clancy thing and the topic of conversation was pretty dark to begin with. But
well, and then I'll suggest this then also. So I think I've said this before, but somebody once told me, I don't know what it was. Something was happening in the world. It might have been Iran, the conflict there. And I was like, I don't pay that much attention. And the person was like, well, you can't just like put your head in the sand and ignore everything. It's like, why not? Why not? I wasn't meant to know what's happening in the world. And a lot of times it's a lot of fear mongering on both sides. And I don't know what's real and what's not. So I just trust the Lord so much more. I'm just like, there are some things that I just don't feel like I have control over. So why am I going to worry about it? And this may sound kind of selfish, but there are some days that I just want to worry about my own little bubble, and I just want to protect my peace and protect the people in this house, their peace. And so I'm focused on our goals and focused on being more positive in my small what's the word I'm looking
community?
for? No.
Bubble?
We'll say bubble, but that's not the word I'm looking for. My small bubble. And then if I'm positive, maybe that'll spread out to my community, and then that'll spread out into the state, and that'll spread out into the country, and it'll keep spreading.
And that's what we try to do through this.
Yeah,
well.
Absolutely. So like it's like kind of like what you said, Jordan Peterson says, like, one small goal each day to change. And so like that's me, this is my one small piece, my contribution, and maybe that'll make a big impact in the end. Otherwise,
your little piece of paradise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm either it's gonna be too overwhelming, and then it's just gonna cause negativity, and I physically feel blah when I let negativity affect me, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. And I think that's why I don't suffer from depression very much anymore.
But I'm a little bit of the opposite of you on that. That's the conflict that I have, is the issue with I want to bury my head in the sand, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm pretty good at that. But it's a conflict inside me, because that's also where I go to like, yeah, but will anything change if I don't force the change? Will anything change if I'm not outspoken and I don't try to make a difference? It kind of goes back to the religious view of God's in control and God knows everything. So what does it matter? That's something that I can't bring myself to believe, because I'm the type of person where if I believe that, then I would be like, oh, I'll just lay in bed every day and do nothing, absolutely nothing. Well, won't you get overweight and unalive eventually? Yeah, but that's what God meant to happen in my life. That's what He had meant for me. So why would I care? Why should I care, if that makes sense? So that's why I am outspoken, and I do try to, as much as it hurts me to get into the negativity in the world, I do try to get out there and try to make a direct change. Although I will admit, sometimes it makes me more miserable than it does. Sometimes it makes me more miserable in my own mind than my own mind thinking that I'm making a difference. And that is unfortunate, because it can be bad in both ways. It can be bad in the sense of if I don't feel like I'm making a change, then I also feel useless, and then it can kind of snowball and spiral. But if you are like me and you have the same issues where like you want to make a change, but you don't know how to do it because you also don't want that negativity to affect your life, I've started to, and I've gotten better at this over time, I've started to compartmentalize my entire life in that I'm like, okay, well, I'm not feeling very good this day, so that's not a day to do it. But like if it's a day where I'm feeling very optimistic and very like I can make a change, I can do this. Those are the days that I should be like debating with people and having conversations with people because I'm already in a good mood. But not on the days where I'm like, oh, everything sucks. This sucks. Everything sucks. It's the worst. Because then when I go in and I try to make change and stuff like that, it's only going to affect me more than the people that I'm trying to change and more than the impact I'm trying to make.
I can see that, and I can see the difficulty in like when is the a good time for me to just sit back and not worry about it, and a time to actually do something. And so, yeah, I can see that difficulty. Do you think that there is a difference between putting your trust in the Lord and all, like, do you think it is possible to put your trust in the Lord and also believe that He still gives you free will and He doesn't control everything?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because this is the thing, and I've spoken about this before because this is my view on it, and I've spoken about this. God can control everything if he wants to. And for me, maybe for other people this isn't the same, but for me, I don't I don't put my trust in Jesus or God to know that everything's going to be perfect and right. That's not the reason why I put my trust into them. I don't need to know, and maybe some people do need to know that God controls everything. He has everything in control, so don't you worry. I don't need that because I understand that there is evil and there is sin and there are terrible things in the world. I recognize that. I think now what I try to work on more is recognizing that while there are those things, there's more good. And that more good is because of Jesus. And that's it. That's kind of my view on it now. So while there are moments in my life that I get real down on it and negative on it, overall, I think the overall experience in my life is that even if evil happens and even if negative things and awful things happen, a couple things. This is a two-part. One, Jesus can change anything he wants and loves all of us unconditionally. And two, there's something better after this anyway. So, and that's what I try to stay focused on as much as I can, even though it's not easy. That's what I try to keep as a focal point in my life.
Yeah, and I feel like when somebody says I'm giving my trust to the Lord, they're gonna set themselves up for failure if they trust in the Lord to make everything magical and perfect and give you whatever you want. Like that's not the reason why you should trust in the Lord. You should trust in the Lord that even when bad things happen, there's a reason why bad things happen, and there's a reason why you didn't get the promotion that you wanted, and there's a reason why you didn't win the lottery, or there's a reason why your car broke down or whatever. That's where I try to like find, I guess, the silver lining in it. And sometimes there's not going to be a silver lining. Sometimes you're just not going to understand it. And that's where you just still trust that he knows what he's doing. And I'm not going I think the hardest part, I know for me personally, the hardest part is not knowing all the answers because I like to know things. I want to know. I want to know how this is going to turn out. That's the hardest part with people, and that is where you have to kind of relinquish control and be like, I'm not going to know all the answers. I may not even ever know all the answers in this life, but maybe in my eternal life, he's going to finally explain everything to me, and then I'll be like, oh, uh-huh, that makes sense. I understand now. So that's where my like putting trust in the Lord comes from. It's no longer like, oh, I trust him to answer every prayer that I've ever
Exactly.
had.
Yeah, see, and that's my problem too, is I think logically. So I'll give an example of the trust for me, because I think logically can go bad too, it can backfire and go wrong. And that's the reason why I believe the way that I believe is because, for example, corn, I've always had issues with corn and lust. And because we can't say,
Yeah.
but I've always had issues with that and I pray. But I also make sure that even on days where I have failed, I still thank Jesus The reason I do is because I know that he is still trying. He's still trying inside here, and he's still trying to change me. But I can fail myself as well.
Mhm.
That's where it would backfire on me, because I'm the type of person that if God is in control of all things, and no matter what, he's controlling all things at all times, I then would feel he's letting me down and he's failing me, which God cannot fail you, nor can Jesus. So that right there is the proof to me that he doesn't control everything. Because if he did, all my prayers would be answered. The minute I'm like, I don't want to watch porn anymore and I don't want to suffer from lust, boom, it'd be fixed. Jesus would be
Like
like,
a
you're right.
genie.
You know why? Because anytime you ask me, I fix it. Boom, prayer answered. But it's not like that, because he doesn't choose. I think he teaches lessons as well.
Mhm.
And also, I think we have to take accountability and responsibility in our own lives as well. I think that not sometimes, I think that there's a huge cop out aspect of that.
Yeah.
And of that in religion, where it's like, doesn't matter, God controls everything at all times. It's a cop out. Like, no, we shouldn't be blaming God for some of the things that we do as people. We should accept accountability and responsibility, because that's the only way I also am going to be able to assist in that change. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, all three coming together and working with me to try to help make changes in my life. But not to say they can't, because they absolutely could. God could do it on his own. But then, one, I'm not me. There's no free will in that. I'm not a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not a sentient person then. I'm being controlled. I'm like a puppet. And number two, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Number two, he also wants to see me improve. God loves us, and he takes pride in, like, when, this is my belief, he takes pride in when we make changes in our own lives to better ourselves. Like, as an example, I haven't drank since the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl. And I am certain that God looks at me and goes, you know what? I'm really proud of you for making that choice, because I made that choice with the help of them. Don't get me wrong on that. They absolutely helped. But I also, like, ultimately it came down to, like, me taking responsibility and accountability and action to make that change. Because God very well could have been like, you're not drinking anymore. Well, where's there any pride or joy in that? Like, then it's just like, yeah, he did. He quit, but only because I made him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. That is just like very much how you, if you have children, you're not just going to give them whatever they want whenever they want it. They're never going to they're never going to know what it is to earn something. They're never going to know what it is to be proud of accomplishing something. They're never going to know how to persevere when they are disappointed or something doesn't work out for them. So that's how it is with the Lord too. And I also feel that,
He's a great father.
yeah, and I also feel that sometimes bad things happen because of other people's
Sins as well, yes. Yeah, I think other people's sins, and then I think also some of them are learning lessons. And some of them are even learning lessons to help you grow. What I mean by that is, it's a good quote that I heard, that when you start to recognize failure as a good thing, you start to recognize failure as a good thing. And the reason is because failure is the only way you grow. It was somebody that was on Theo Vaughn's podcast, but I can't remember who it was. And I apologize that the name is slipping me, but it was somebody who said, and I loved that they said this. I was like, I really like that. They said, failure is what makes you grow. Can you imagine living a life where your entire life you never fail? You're just perfect and you never fail in life. And it's like, yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be great to be like, man, I've never failed. Look at me. Look at how great I am. But you also think about it like this. You go entire life, you've never failed, and then all of a sudden later on in life you fail. It would devastate you. You would be crushed. You would be absolutely floored, and you'd be in the pit, because you don't even know how to overcome failure, and you don't know how to persist beyond that, because you've never failed in life. So he said, like, view every failure as a stepping stone to greater things in your life, and to greater moments in your life, and to a greater and better you.
I think that's part of the problem with society and us coddling people, and then they are outraged when stuff doesn't go their way. And
yeah, I just watched an interview where it was a woman. It was on Instagram. It was a woman interviewing someone who was part of the LGBTQ plus whatever. and the woman was basically arguing like, no, a her is not a he, and a he's not a her. And the girl immediately, like when the woman started tearing her claim apart, the girl immediately was like, I just feel, I'm starting to feel really unsafe around you. I'm starting to feel really unsafe, and I'm getting like an anxiety attack, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a cop out.
Yeah.
It's a cop out. It's because growing up, you never learned how to overcome failure,
No.
and you never learned how to like critically think. And I'm going to end it with this as well. I saw a video today. This video made me sick because we were talking about this earlier with like Lindsay Clancy and stuff like that. And it's a video, and it's a guy, and he calls his wife into the kitchen, and he's like, "Are these dishes clean?" And she looks at me, and she's like, and he's like, "Are these counters nice and clean?" And she's like, and he's like, "Is this floor?" This is so cringe. "Is this floor nice and clean?" And she's like, or yeah, she's like, and he's like, "So we did a good job?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Can I play video games?" And she's like, 10 minutes. And then she like turns to the camera and she like smirks like,
Ew.
and I was like, oh, it's so gross. Listen, bro, not even the fact of like, yeah, I clean up for my wife and I clean everything, blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to do with it. What really made me cringe was can I go play video games now? Bro, what are you, 10?
Yeah,
are you 10 years old?
That's
what are you,
wife,
a child?
Oh,
bro, it's so bad. It's so simpy. It's so bad. Guys, stop. Just stop. Stop it. Stop with the nonsense. It's
and
so.
Women, if you wanted a child, have a child.
Would you like if I did that?
No.
Please, can I go play my video games for 10 minutes?
I
And the worst part is he did like that little kid dance. Can I go play my video games for 10 minutes?
I went like that.
Video games. I can play my video games for 10 minutes. Oh,
like,
video games.
you're a grown ass man. Like,
I love video games too, but sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I love video games too, but I've gotten to the point where like I just feel like I'm too old. Like sometimes I'll play for a little bit and I'll be like,
well,
I'm so bored of this.
That was very much
like asking permission.
Yeah, like ew. Like you're supposed to be husband and wife, not mommy and
as for the
kid.
woman, how can you love a man that's like,
yeah, how can you respect a man? How can you respect a man?
We're gonna
how do
clip
you
this.
respect? That's gonna be the first clip that we.
I hope that they use this as the thumbnail. But thank you guys. Thank you for joining. We really appreciate everybody who stopped in and listened and engaged.
Yes, and I have one more thing to say. I'm hopeful for this Gen Alpha because not to toot our own horns, but I think as a whole, the millennial generation are turning it around as parents. So I really have hope for.
Yeah,
Gen
our
Alpha.
kids are pretty badass.
So yeah, I have hope for them. Hopefully
they're not afraid to talk about the chemtrails and.
Yeah. Well, don't get us flagged. Anyway,
and the torpedoing innocent women and children.
Yeah. So that's it, right?
But that's it. Yep. And remember,
Jesus loves you.